世贸组织被中共收买，称中国在进出口领域都为全球贸易做出积极贡献。中共利用防火墙对内虚假宣传，称联合国近70国在涉港、涉疆问题上支持中共。印度两党争执，但对抗中共之心不变。中共对内虚假宣传，称中国人权状况获多国支持。中共农业农村部部长谎称粮食丰收，粮价上涨合理。美国侦察机紧贴广东海岸飞行，威慑中共集权。西方多国在联合国大会上谴责中国人权状况，对香港和新疆问题表示严重关切。中共低价输出新冠疫苗，但在国内却要价300元人民币。继中芯国际后，中共多个半导体厂商将受美国制裁。中共港版国安法迫害港人，首宗案件被告羁押中。10月5日，广东肇庆扼警暴力伤害欲反抗的百姓。大陆多地降雪，农作物受灾严重。
杀的人比谷子上透蒙蒙的，太安逸了，这谷子。你没看到是不是谷子被打？看，哎呦！
每当雪花纷纷飘落，想你是我戒不掉的习惯。望着天空，
我们的钱去哪儿了？
对，钱去哪儿了？
咱上屋说行不行？
不行。
啊，您得让我们多进去，
不行，
别带2个3个进去。
还我工资！还我工资！越大越好。越大越好，不敢喊热喝吧。
还我工资！
还我工资！有请局长！
下起的雪。
武汉红芯、成都革新、德科玛等6个100亿级芯片项目遭遇烂尾。
我等代表团表现出的赤裸裸的双重标准和虚伪面目，简直是令人叹为观止。但主席，你并没有听取中国代表团的意见，而是直接就是否同意进行了表决。另外，主席先生，我不得不说，刚才德国代表的发言完全是在攻击其他的安理会成员，他把安理会当做了一个发泄情绪、表达不满的平台。如果今后所有的安理会成员来开会的目的不是来讨论问题本身，那我们还谈何安理会的团结？安理会还如何发挥作用？
美日澳印4国外长会议，蓬佩奥明确指出保护盟友免受中共胁迫。
まさに地域における平和と繁栄に向けたビジョンとして国際社会に広く通じるように私の意見においてもこの取り組みをしっかり推進することを基本方針にそのように。
As partners in this Quad, it is more critical now than ever that we collaborate to protect our people and partners from the CCP's exploitation, corruption, and coercion.
看着是不是特别的熟悉？国外淘汰的东西，淘汰的流水线，买回来当自主研发。哦，骗骗中国老百姓。
香港尖沙咀海旁发现一死者，双手被绑，死因可疑。
咁見到個伯伯嘅手咧係有索帶係鎖住咗雙手㗎。
中共投毒港人，致香港连续5日出现源头不明的确诊病例，累计确诊达5113例。
U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo met with some of Washington's closest allies in Tokyo on Tuesday. He's there to shore up support against what the U.S. sees as China's dangerous growing influence. The visit, which was supposed to include trips to Mongolia and South Korea, was cut short after U.S. President Donald Trump was diagnosed with COVID-19. It's Pompeo's first trip to East Asia since July 2019 and comes as ties between the United States and China have fallen to their worst in decades. The meeting was held with foreign ministers of the so-called Quad group of nations, the United States, Australia, India, and Japan.
Welcome back. Keeping American information and intellectual property safe, mobile technology research firm InterDigital is fighting against Chinese electronics company Xiaomi after a Wuhan court said that the American firm could face fines of over 1 million yuan. That's roughly $147,000 a day if it seeks to sue Xiaomi for patent infringement of its 3G or 4G technology in any court around the world.
Last month on this show, we had an amazing interview. We talked to a Chinese virologist called Dr. Li Mingyang. She told us that the Chinese government created the coronavirus in a lab in Wuhan. She said the government, she believes, released it on purpose. She co-authored a paper explaining her findings. Now, it's an amazing claim, and you'd think that our media would want to get to the bottom of this pandemic, which has completely upended our country. But instead, they ignored her claims. And fact-checkers in Silicon Valley immediately censored it. Now authorities in China reportedly have arrested Li Mingyang's mother, apparently in retribution for what she has said. So please tell us what you can about where she is and what's happened.
First, I want to thank everyone who cares about my family. I didn't mention it before, but now it's the first time I want to tell people that. This is not the first time my mom and my other family member get arrested by the Chinese Communist Party. As I know, although I cut off most of connection with my family directly, this is the fourth time my mom, 63 years old teacher, got arrested by Chinese Communist Party. I'm the only child in my family. My mom has done nothing wrong. The only thing they arrest my mom and send her to Beijing is because I tell the truth of COVID-19, which Chinese government feel angry about. What they have done is try to make me silent. For foreign audience, this may be difficult to understand, but it is common sense for our Chinese people in our daily life. Chinese Communist Party can use no reason to arrest and even kill anyone just because you make them unhappy or you try to reveal the truth. As you can say that for Mr. President these days, so he got COVID-19, and if you see the media from China, you will see the Chinese Communist Party and their brainwashed people. They are celebrating this, and not only for Mr. President, also for his family, for his grandkids. They want to see them even pass away of the COVID-19. So that is the truth of this Chinese Communist Party government. And that's why, from beginning, I want to take my life risk and also my family's life risk to come to U.S. tell people the truth about COVID-19.
Has any group in the United States, scientific group, the so-called scientific community at NIH, CDC, World Health Organization internationally, AMA, has anyone issued a statement in support of your right to present your research without being punished for it?
First, I I want to clarify that this time my mom got arrested is because I went to Fox News last time for Mr. Rodolph's and also your interview. They are angry. And the other thing is for my publication, the first one and even the next one actually already previewed by the people, the senior people and the top expert from U.S. government before published. I never see and they give the positive feedback and the convincing by that. But I didn't get the public statement supporting it from any this kind of big organization representative of scientific world, including WHO, NIH, CDC, or others. And actually, I got a lot of lies and misinformation attacking me from some scientists.
Doctor, one of the things I appreciate is the fact that you point out that this is a CCP virus, that this came from communist China. And I was very touched last week at the UN when you saw Jair Bolsonaro spoke to the United Nations, and a large portion of his speech was about dealing with the coronavirus inside Brazil. He claimed that there was a global misinformation effort. I'm assuming that he's talking about the communist Chinese concerning hydroxychloroquine and concerning its use. And certainly in Brazil, we see an absolute stark difference between these left-wing states that have banned use of it and in northern Brazil, where they've got some more industrialized areas, a lot of Jair Bolsonaro's support, they've had much lower mortality rates in these places. And we've seen this around the world. We've seen certain countries where the Chinese come in and say, don't use hydroxychloroquine. And then we see certain countries where they come in and say, definitely use hydroxychloroquine. And these countries may be separated by only, 500 or 600 miles. In Latin America, it's really quite extraordinary. And I very much appreciate you being a doctor and a science-oriented guy who's able to see the larger picture and see the threat that's out there. I wonder if you could touch upon it, because I think it's important for our listeners. You're a spiritual guy. And can you define what really is this battle that we're involved in? I want you to encompass COVID-19, the election, everything, and run with it, my friend.
So first of all, my background is I was born in a communist Soviet Union, And even though I was 4 years old when my family came to New York, but so I didn't have any direct experience with it, but I heard enough from my parents and grandparents to understand that it's a government, it's a political system of absolute tyranny and control. And it's really ultimately a fight between a God-centered society versus a society that replaces God with the so-called state or big government, that the belief is that this government will then create a prosperous society. And the problem with that is that while it sounds nice, ultimately we end up with a situation where we're just one murder away from utopia. In other words, these societies that embrace Marxism and this godless ideology have been responsible for approximately 170 million dead people in the 20th century. Whether it's communist Russia, Stalin's purges, whether it's Mao, the maniac, or the Khmer Rouge, or North Korea, or it's endless. All of these governments, they abuse their citizens, and they don't believe in their own ideology. It's just a power grab. They take other people's stuff, use it for themselves, and create a situation of what's called equality of outcome, in the sense that everyone's equally miserable, except the leadership. So it's a very perverse system of government. It's rooted in an anti-God ideology, and on the contrary, God is a big impediment to them, because if you have individuals that believe in a power greater than the government, that undermines the ability of this tyrannical government to control people. And that's what we're seeing. The Chinese Communist Party is responsible for so much death within China and so much environmental death. They don't adhere to any of the the global warmers should go crazy.
川普总统做什么是他的事情，美国人做什么是他们事情，啊，我们以共灭共，以美灭共，永远不变，依法灭共。我从不相信美国人帮着把共产党给灭了，我从来不相信。我认为灭共产党一定是共产党。大家难道没看到吗？董洪的被抓，孟建柱的被抓，孙立军的被抓，王岐山的被软禁，100万党员的被抓，中国经济的崩盘，粮食的短缺，全社会的现在的疯狂和网络的封锁，你觉得这个国家还能继续下去吗？啊，下1秒钟的可能是变成革命、流血，或者说是内部政治暴乱。美国人，我们但凡有一点良知的，都不要去批评美国。美国他死人了，美国经济受到绑架了，美国被蓝金黄了，人家做决定，你干嘛着急呀？太监不急，皇帝不急，你急啥呀？你跟太监急什么呀？我求求了，只要是占有的，不要再在那块放胡话、放厥词，这对我们爆料革命影响非常之差。
美国的感染病例超过750万。自2月6日报告首例死亡以来，美国平均每天病毒死亡病例为867例。德国报告了自4月份以来每日新增感染最高数。美联储主席警告说，如果不能控制病毒流行，美国经济将陷入灾难。FDA 考虑在批准使用疫苗之前，需要2个月的安全性数据报告。新加坡提供大流行婴儿奖励，在经济不景气当下推动更多的儿童出生。在病毒大流行期间，纽约流失的居民人数超过美国其他任何州。美国人、英国人和德国人分享了2020年诺贝尔物理学奖，这些科学发现与黑洞有关。美国将技术工人的H1-B 签证削减了1/3，